The Wrong Ride. Part 2. Chapter 4, An Uneasy Alliance. Lena's Investigation. Lena knew the Whitmore name carried weight, but the more she dug, the heavier that weight became. Using her invitation to the party as a gateway, she wove through the opulent crowd, listening, observing, and extracting slivers of information from those too eager to boast or too careless to conceal. Kane, ever the enigma, provided her with just enough to keep her searching. Old documents, whispered rumors, names that led to buried scandals. Yet, he remained in the shadows, watching her, testing her. His occasional insights were calculated, his assistance laced with unspoken conditions. "Why are you helping me?" Lena challenged one evening, sifting through faded newspaper clippings in her dimly lit apartment. Kane smirked, leaning against the doorway, his silhouette cast in fractured light. "Who says I am?" His voice was a slow drawl, teasing, unreadable. She hated that she couldn't tell whether he was an ally or an adversary. But one thing was certain. Kane Whitmore was never just one thing. Rising tension. The more time Lena and Kane spent together, the more their connection crackled between them. It was a dangerous dance. One step too close, and she risked losing herself. One step too far, and she might lose the only lead she had. Kane had an infuriating ability to make her question herself. One moment, he was infuriatingly charming, his flirtations effortless, yet deliberate, as if daring her to fall for the illusion. The next, he was cold, distant, reminding her of who he was and who she wasn't. "You really don't trust anyone, do you?" he murmured one night as they sat across from each other in a dimly lit bar, their glasses untouched. Lena met his gaze, unflinching. "Trust is for people who don't know better." He laughed, but there was something dark behind it. "Then maybe you and I aren't so different after all?" She wanted to deny it. She wanted to prove him wrong. But the truth was far more complicated than either of them cared to admit. The Whitmore Empire. Lena's investigation peeled back layers of the Whitmore dynasty, and what she found was more sinister than she had anticipated. The family's wealth was built on more than just business acumen. It was built on deception, intimidation, and backroom deals that spanned generations. Old money had old secrets, and the Whitmores had more than most. From shell companies to whispered scandals, she traced a pattern of corruption stretching back decades. There were businesses that had mysteriously collapsed, competitors who had vanished under questionable circumstances, and alliances formed in the shadows. But the deeper she dug, the more dangerous her search became. Someone was watching her. Someone didn't want these secrets unearthed. And Kane? Kane knew more than he let on. "You're playing a dangerous game, Lena," he warned one evening as she confronted him with her latest findings. She squared her shoulders, refusing to let him see the tremor in her hands. "Then I guess we're both playing." His expression darkened, but there was something else there, something she couldn't quite place. Amusement? Admiration? Or was it a silent warning? Either way, she wasn't stopping, even if it meant destroying them both. Chapter 5. Unveiling the Truth. Lena's hands trembled as she clutched the stack of documents Kane had given her. The dim glow of the desk lamp flickered over the pages, illuminating rows of financial records, hidden transactions, and whispered agreements that never should have seen the light of day. The Whitmores weren't just a powerful dynasty, they were puppeteers, pulling the strings of politicians, corporations, and entire industries. And now, Claire was entangled in their web. Her sister wasn't just getting married. She was being sold. The secret exposed. Claire's engagement had never been about love. That much was obvious now. The Lockwoods weren't just another elite family. They were key players in the Whitmore's empire, controlling assets that, combined with the Whitmore fortune, would form an unbreakable alliance. One that would dictate the future of entire markets. One that no one could challenge. And Claire? Claire had been maneuvered into it like a pawn on a board she never agreed to play. Lena's stomach twisted. Had she known? Was her sister a willing participant in this? Or had she been deceived just as Lena had been? Her mind reeled with the implications. If Claire had been forced into this, Lena had to save her. But if she had known all along, if she had chosen this life, Lena wasn't sure she could ever forgive her. Kane's revelation. "You need to know the whole truth," Kane said, his voice low, urgent. They sat in a corner booth of a nearly empty cafe, the scent of burnt coffee lingering in the air. Kane leaned forward, his dark eyes locked onto hers. There was no teasing in his expression this time, no sly remarks or calculated charm. Only raw, unfiltered intensity. "My family has been fighting the Whitmores for years," he admitted. "A deal went bad. People got hurt. But it wasn't just a business feud. It was war. And your sister is caught in the middle of it." Lena gripped the edge of the table. "What kind of war?" Kane exhaled slowly. "Money laundering, political payoffs, backroom deals that decide who wins elections and who disappears without a trace. The Whitmores don't just control industries, they own people." Lena's pulse pounded in her ears. She had suspected corruption, but this was something else. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. Kane hesitated, then leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Because you're the only one who can get through to her." He held her gaze. "But you have to understand something, Lena. The Whitmores don't let go of what's theirs. If you go up against them, they will come for you." The warning sent an icy chill down her spine. Emotional conflict. Confronting Claire was harder than Lena had expected. She had rehearsed the conversation in her head. "You're being used. This isn't love. This is a transaction." She had imagined Claire breaking down, admitting she had no idea what was really happening, begging Lena to help her escape. But the moment she stood face to face with her sister, her words caught in her throat. Claire's expression wasn't one of surprise. It was one of resignation. "I know," Claire whispered. Lena blinked. "You... what?" "I've known from the beginning." Claire's voice was steady, but her hands trembled as she clutched the diamond ring on her finger. "I know exactly what I'm marrying into." Lena felt as though the ground had vanished beneath her feet. "Then why, Claire's composure cracked, and for the first time Lena saw the tears brimming in her sister's eyes. "Because what choice do I have?" Claire's voice broke. "If I walk away, they'll ruin me. Ruin us." The weight of her words crashed over Lena. This wasn't just about uncovering the truth. This wasn't about exposing the Whitmores. This was about survival. The Whitmores didn't just manipulate and deceive. They destroyed. And now, Lena had a choice to make. She could risk everything to take them down, or she could play their game and protect the only family she had left. But one thing was certain. Trust had shattered, and nothing would ever be the same. Lena and Kane form a dangerous alliance, risking everything to uncover the full extent of the Whitmores' crimes. Meanwhile, Claire begins to question her loyalty, but her defiance could put both sisters in danger. As the tension escalates, the Whitmores strike back with swift retaliation, and someone close to Lena pays the price. Chapter 6. The Price of Truth. The night was thick with tension, the kind that settled into Lena's bones and refused to leave. She and Kane moved like ghosts through the city's underbelly, their every step shadowed by an unseen force. The documents they carried, the proof of the Whitmores' corruption, were no longer just leverage. They were a death sentence. A dangerous game. The first warning had been subtle. A sleek black car idling too long outside Lena's apartment. At first, she had told herself it was paranoia. Then came the phone calls. Silent, ominous, and then the unmistakable feeling of being watched. "They know," Lena murmured, gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles ached. Kane was already moving. "We need to disappear." He grabbed her wrist, pulling her into a narrow alley as headlights swept past. His voice was low, urgent. "They're not just watching us, Lena. They're hunting us." It wasn't just the Whitmores. The Lockwoods, now bound to them through Claire's engagement, had sent their own enforcers into play. And then the final warning. A chilling message on Lena's voicemail. "Drop this, or you'll regret it." The voice was calm, emotionless. That was what scared her the most. Betrayal. The feeling of unease clawed at Lena long after the call ended, but nothing prepared her for what she heard next. A late-night conversation, Kane's voice hushed but unmistakable. She hadn't meant to eavesdrop. She had gone looking for him, but the moment she heard his words, she froze. She doesn't know the full plan yet, but she's getting us closer. Lena's stomach twisted. He meant her. And then, the name that sealed the betrayal. Victor. I told you. I have it under control. Lena's breath caught. Victor Whitmore. Her hands curled into fists, her pulse roaring in her ears. Kane was working with them. When she finally confronted him, the mask he always wore slipped just enough to reveal something cold beneath it. You used me, she said, voice trembling with fury. This was never about justice, was it? Kane exhaled sharply, his jaw clenching. Lena, it was about revenge. She forced herself to meet his gaze, even as something in her chest cracked. For your family. He didn't deny it. Kane's confession. For a long moment, there was only silence between them. Then Kane ran a hand through his hair, exhaling like he was preparing for a fight. Yes, he admitted. My family wants the Whitmores destroyed. And yes, I needed you to get to them. His voice was rough, stripped of its usual charm. But that's not all this is. Lena let out a sharp, bitter laugh. No? Then tell me, Kane. What is this? He stepped closer. She should have backed away, but she didn't. Couldn't. I didn't expect you, he murmured. I didn't expect to care. His gaze locked onto hers, burning with something raw, something real. But I do. Lena's breath caught, and for a second, just a second, she wavered. She wanted to hate him. She should hate him. But the way he looked at her, like she was the only light in this twisted, dark world, made her doubt everything. The choice. Lena stood at a crossroads, and she knew it. Trusting Kane again could be a fatal mistake. Walking away might mean facing the Whitmores alone. And with Claire still trapped in their web, time was running out. One wrong move, and the price of truth would be her life. Lena faces a reckoning as she must decide whether to forgive Kane or cut him loose. But can she survive without him? Meanwhile, Claire uncovers a devastating secret about her fiancé, forcing her to choose between loyalty and survival. As tensions reach a boiling point, the Whitmores make their move, and someone won't walk away unscathed.